Hey folks, how you doing? Dave McRae here. It is Thursday morning, Thursday, February the 6th, 2020, 11 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time. How the hell are you guys doing? It's episode 14 of McRae Live, and today we're talking Spiral, from the Book of Saw, I think is what it's called, right? Spiral. Chris Rock, Samuel L. Jackson. Saw 9. Let that sink in, folks. Saw 9. Just think about that. Saw 9. All right. So yesterday, Spiral, the new Saw movie, which is coming out, I think, in May, right? Now, this movie is directed by Darren Lynn Bousman. Am I saying that? Probably one of the three. Maybe none of the three that I just said. Anyway, he directed Saw 2 through 4, I think. Saw 2, 3, and 4. Maybe he did 5. I don't know. I think he did 2, 3, and 4 at the very least. And he's come back to direct this as well. A couple of the producers from earlier Saw films have come back to produce this. Now, this was actually shot right here in Toronto. So Toronto, of course, being the 4th largest city in North America, the 3rd largest film and TV production center behind LA and New York. Vancouver is right up there too. Sometimes Toronto and Vancouver go neck and neck, back and back with each other. Vancouver, because of course, its close proximity to Los Angeles. Toronto, of course, because of its towering skyscrapers and its resemblance, as long as you don't show the CN Tower, and depending on where you shoot, to something like a New York or Chicago. And, so they shoot a ton of shit up here. And they shot a lot of the Saw movies up here. Actually, not just Spiral, but yes, Spiral was shot up here. So even though you're seeing the drone shots of New York City, those clearly are insert shots after the fact, obviously. And, I gotta say that, this came about essentially. Look, the last Saw film was 2017, Jigsaw. Didn't do very well. Made a lot of money at the box office on a $10 million budget. Made something like 100 and something million bucks worldwide. It was critically panned. The fans didn't like it. The last movie before that was in 2010, I believe. And then 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4. I was a big fan of the first Saw. Saw it in the movie theater back in 2004 with my buddy Joe Bernard. If he's, haven't seen Joe in quite a few years, but Joe, if you're watching, how the hell are you doing, buddy? We saw it and I really enjoyed it. Of course, directed by James Wan. That was sort of James Wan's that's essentially put him on the map. And then he went on to do Dead Silence and The Conjuring and Insidious, and he's where he is today. The first Saw I really liked. It spawned a sort of mid-2000s torture porn sort of obsession, because after that you had Hostel and Hostel 2 and Saw 2 and 3 and 4, and people just loved watching people in uncomfortable situations on the verge of death. Excuse me. I almost died right there. So here's the situation. I'm not a big fan of the Saw franchise. Full disclosure, I liked the first Saw. I thought that was ingenious. And at the end of, but it was new, of course, right? We hadn't seen anything like it before at the end of the movie. Spoiler alert, but if you haven't seen Saw by now, you don't give a fuck about it. The movie came out in 2004. What the hell are you doing? At the end of the movie, of course, you realize that, oh my God, he was lying there on the ground the entire time. Awesome shit. And just the psychological sort of makeup of a killer that would be like that, and to find yourself in that kind of a situation. Can you trust the other person? Can you not trust the other person, right? You're across from each other. You're too far away to reach each other, but you're close enough to, try and hash things out. and what am I going to do, right? Am I going to have to cut off my own leg, my own arm, whatever the case is? It was something we hadn't seen before, certainly not in that way. The psychological was like, oh my God, that's crazy, right? It seemed very realistic in terms of it wasn't too silly. It wasn't too ridiculous. It seemed plausible. And that was one of the strengths of the original Saw. And of course, the original Saw was based on a short film directed by Wan from 2003. He used that short film as sort of a portfolio piece, as sort of a concept pitch to basically say, hey, here's my idea. What about doing a full-length, fleshed-out feature film like this? And they're like, yeah, let's do it. So they did it, and it was hugely successful. Whether you like the Saw films or not, it's certainly become one of the most iconic franchises in the history of horror, for better or for worse, usually for worse. These things are usually for worse. So I really enjoyed it. Loved the concept, felt real. It was gritty. Yeah, it was like Seven, but to the next level. I still think Seven's a better movie, obviously. But I think the first Saw was like a little more of a gratuitous, like it was a little more, like a little more of that Seven. It was like, imagine, like Seven, you saw the end results of stuff, right? You always saw the end result of his work. And it was, right? Oh my God, right? And then, of course, what's in the box? Come on. Great, iconic ending. It's a great movie. It's one of the greatest psychological thrillers in history. Directed by David Fincher, released in, I believe, late September, early October. Somewhere in September, maybe, of 1995. Great film. Didn't need a sequel. Thank God there wasn't one. I don't think there is there? I don't know. I don't think there fucking is. So it when you watched Saw in 2004, you could not help but compare it to Seven because of the sort of the idea of a killer that you can't see, playing psychological, manipulative games that, of course, are resulting in death and are one step ahead of the cops. Now, this is not, exclusive only to Seven and Saw. Obviously, there have been films throughout millennia that have been like that, with that sort of premise, but definitely there are parallels in tone and feel and the psychological sort of, when you watch the movie with those two films. Seven's still the better film, though. Like I said, Saw is a little more gratuitous. But it was a great movie. And then Saw 2 came out. Very next year. I saw it. Carried the story forward with that young woman, I believe. I forget her name now. The Needles, they stepped up their game. Okay, all right, cool, right? Cool. But the shtick of Saw, for me, wore very thin by even the third movie. The third movie where Jigsaw dies, essentially. Dave, I haven't seen it. If you haven't fucking seen it, you're not going to fucking see it. So, it just wore thin for me. The novelty wore off. Like anything. I don't give a shit if you are Saw. I don't care. I mean, listen, are they always fun and interesting to watch from a psychological perspective to see how this killer manipulates his prey, so to speak, and tries to get them to appreciate the finer things in life and appreciate their own lives, on the verge of losing their own lives and all. Yeah, of course, it's not boring necessarily. It's just the shtick wears thin. The novelty wears off. It's gonna happen. It's going to happen. Right? By the time you get to Saw 8, it's kind of like been there, done that, and when you are constantly the turnover rate for characters, when you really, at the end of the day, if there isn't somebody that, and it makes sense that there wouldn't be. I mean, how many times can you yourself get caught up in a situation like that? They're almost, I don't want to say they're anthology films because they're not, but in some respects, you are following many different people. So, it's one of those things where I just didn't care. I had been there, done that, seen it. The shtick had been presented. They're upping the ante and upping. I get it. I totally get it. By the third, fourth, I just didn't care. Didn't care. So then, of course, obviously, box office, although Jigsaw did make a lot of money. But then again, it was the first Saw movie in 7 years, But they were on the decline, critically, financially. Well, now we have Chris Rock. Whenever I think of Chris Rock, all I think about is a guy that goes, well, I fucking it. I don't know, for some reason that's what I think of. That might have sounded more like Eddie Murphy, but that's what I think of when I think of Chris Rock. He's always got that kind of thing about him. I like Chris Rock. I don't not like Chris Rock. I think he's funny. Yeah, absolutely. There are other comedians that I like better. I like Eddie Murphy better. And there are other guys that are more my style and my taste, but certainly I don't not like Chris Rock. Don't not like him. I might even like Chappelle a bit better. But I like Chris Rock. There's always room for a little Chris Rock. So the story goes, he has this idea for a Saw sequel. I don't think, did anybody break it to Chris to say that they already had like 8 sequels? I don't know. But he's got an idea to go in a different direction. Okay, he's got an idea to go in a different direction. All right. Now it is known that, I don't know why he helped to write the movie. He also said basically that he wants to start doing more serious roles. Okay. All right, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. So anyway, write this movie. The old director comes back from the second, third, and fourth Saw films, I believe. A couple of the old producers come back, getting the band back together. James Wan even comes back with Lee Whannell, or whatever his last name is there. His crime fighting partner, who obviously also helped the Insidious franchise. And of course, he's directing The Invisible Man, Lee Whannell, which comes out soon. They come back to help executive produce. Okay, well, remember that doesn't necessarily mean anything. In major motion pictures, what an executive producer does can be so important and so much and so completely irrelevant. And that's primarily because it depends on the movie. It depends on the scale of the project. If you're doing an independent film, executive producers can sometimes, if they are part of the creative side, they're not necessarily part of the creative side of things, but they can be. Just know that usually it's the producer that, of course, is involved heavily on set, and the executive, producer is often more the hiring the director and finding the finances, and there's But sometimes and more often than not, actually, when you get to the Hollywood level, when you're doing these kinds of films, they can almost be ceremonial, depending. Anyway, it doesn't excite me whenever I hear like, so-and-so's come on to executive produce. Yeah, that's just fine. In television, it's different, you see, because in television, they're called showrunners. That's essentially your executive producer. And a showrunner in television is the one constant. The executive producer, the showrunner in a television series is more important than your director. In film, it's usually the other way around, because in television, the directors can change from not just season to season, but episode to episode, right? So you can have multiple different voices in directing through one season, whereas your showrunner is usually your one constant. In film, it's usually the opposite, depending on how many movies you do, of course. So anyway, all the he's coming back, that rarely excites me. It rarely does, especially from an executive producing standpoint. That never excites me. Directing can excite me. John Carpenter's coming back to executive produce a remake of Big Trouble in Little China. Who gives a fuck? I don't care. John Carpenter's coming back to write it. Okay. A little more interested now. John Carpenter's coming back to direct it. 20 years ago, maybe. 15 years ago, maybe. Now, he's, I don't know. But anyway, I digress. I'm going off on a tangent, like I always do here in the show. So Spiral. The movie's called Spiral, from the Book of Saw. The Book of Saw. Anybody got the Book of Saw? Look in that Book of Saw. Anybody at all? The Book of Saw. Spiral starring, it's Spiral. Samuel Jackson has come on board. Here, what do we got? It just says, according to Wikipedia, it says Chris Rock, Samuel Jackson. Yes, directed by Darren Lynn Bousman. Screenplay by Josh Stolberg and Peter Goldfinger. Story by Chris Rock. Based on Saw by James Wan and Lee Whannell. This is the premise, folks. The official premise from Lionsgate is working in the shadow of an esteemed police veteran, which is Samuel Jackson. Brash detective Ezekiel Zeke Banks, Zeke is his nickname. Ezekiel, I think I'm saying that right. Ezekiel Banks, Chris Rock, and his rookie partner take charge of a grisly investigation into murders that are eerily reminiscent of the city's gruesome past. Unwittingly trapped in a deepening mystery, Zeke finds himself at the center of the killer's morbid game. Now, funny enough, did a little digging, and it looks like here that Chris Rock's character's name, of course, is Detective Ezekiel Zeke Banks. Zeke Banks, right? Samuel Jackson is Marcus Banks. Marcus Banks. So something tells me that, unless that's just lazy writing, maybe Chris Rock and Samuel Jackson's characters are related in some ways. Now, maybe it's no relation, but maybe they are related. Ezekiel Banks, Marcus Banks. Okay. Samuel Jackson, of course, has got to deliver his motherfucking line, right? I watched the trailer. Of course, I can recognize a lot of the things in it, obviously, being shot here in Toronto. And so it's kind of funny when I see the New York skyline. I'm like, yeah, that's not New York. But you can get away with it, right? Now, Toronto, obviously not as big as New York, but certainly it is a gigantic city with about 3 million people in the city proper alone. It's about the same size as Chicago, roughly. It's bigger than Chicago, actually. So it's fun. It's fun to watch movies. Hollywood films always shot in your hometown. They do a ton of them here every year. I think I watched the trailer and you know, it it's not a reboot, but they're not acknowledging that Jigsaw ever happened from 2017. That's what I read. So it's not a reboot. It is in the canon of the Saw franchise, but they're not acknowledging the 2017 it's okay. The chat room is telling me that they're father and son. Oh, okay. I didn't know that. Is that even mentioned in the trailer? Is it mentioned in the trailer? I guess I didn't look closely enough. Father and son. Okay, they're father and son. Well, you know what's going to happen then. Samuel Jackson's going to die. It's the way it is. He's got to go out like a champ. Here's the thing. The movie, again, like I said, is supposed to be in the canon, pretending 2017's Jigsaw never happened. Okay. I don't give a fuck. I just really don't care. When Chris Rock said that he was doing something with Saw, I didn't give a fuck then. Because I thought, why? What, Chris, out of anything you could have done, Saw? Why? Why not do something original, Chris? If you want to start doing serious roles, I think that's awesome. There's nothing wrong with that in and of itself. Nothing. There's nothing wrong with doing a real serious police, mystery thriller. Let it stand on its own. Saw? Like, Chris, are you that big of a fan of the series that you sat there and thought, well, you know what? It's fucking Saw. It's like, really, Saw? It's a terrible Chris Rock impression. You're going to do Saw? I don't give a fuck. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. I just don't care. But I watched the trailer, right? They got the Saw theme in there. Meh, meh, right? You know, coming out, and it's like, oh, Saw, I remember that. Yeah, okay. You know, does it look, I see people comparing and again, it's just the first trailer, and I'm not here to say the movie's going to be shitty. I'm not saying that. Don't say Dave thinks it's going to be. I don't think that at all. I have no fucking idea. No idea. But when I look at the trailer, which is all I have to go on, I can't help but ask, why? Why Saw? I mean, you know, we could probably figure out 500 reasons why, but I just, there's nothing in the trailer that makes me go, oh, whoa, nothing. Is it intriguing? Sure. But is it intriguing because of anything that I saw happening? No pun intended. No. It's just intriguing because it's like a carnival act. It's like, oh, let's go watch Chris Rock and Samuel L. Jackson in a Saw movie. Like, it's just weird. It's just funky like that. So that's why it's intriguing. There was nothing I saw in the trailer that doesn't look like the other 8 movies that they've, you know, and I see people comparing it to 7. Well, yeah, but you want to know why you compare it to 7? Because you got a black cop, right? You got his white younger partner. Chris Rock's probably like, I'm too old for this shit, even though his father seems to be, you know, in the movie as well, right? You know, and then people start to be, yeah, I get it. A gloomy, atmospheric, you know, older black cop, younger white apprentice, you know, trying to figure shit out, you know, in a moody, atmospheric cop thriller. Yeah, I get it. But I saw people comparing that after the fact. I didn't think of 7 once. When I was watching the trailer, never crossed my mind. Not fucking once. Never crossed my mind. But looking at it again, I can be like, well, yeah, I guess I can see what people are talking about, you know? And maybe that's a good thing, right? I mean, obviously they want to, this is such an overused cliche, they want to go back to the roots, right? So what do? They bring in the director from Saw 2 and 3 and 4. They bring in a couple of producers, including Juan and Winnell. Okay, they come back. All right, they've written a script. I can guarantee you they are going way back to the beginning, so to speak, right, of the flavor of that first movie. I guarantee you somebody in the writer's room was like, let's do like a 7 kind of, okay. But it just, I don't know. You know, I don't know if I'm too picky or what the hell is. I just don't give a fuck because it's just too late for me. You did 8 movies. You did 7 sequels. And now I'm supposed to be like, ooh, this is exciting. No, I don't care. If this had been the next, if there had been Saw 1, right, 2004, and maybe you did Saw 2, because it was unlikely they weren't going to do 2. There were no other Saw movies. So you did Saw 1, you did Saw 2, let's say, and there were no other Saw films, okay? And then all of a sudden, 15 years later, Spiral. And it's like, oh, that Spiral's fucking... I know that Spiral. Oh, shit. I know that Spiral. Oh, my God. No, get the fuck. They're not. Did you know they were back? No way. Oh, my God. Chris Rock's in it? What? What the? Samuel, this looks, whoa, what? Unexpected, weird, whoa. Nah. You know, the theme, it's like, what the fuck? Oh my God, is this a jigsaw? No way, dude! Right? You get what I'm saying? Now? I'm supposed to be like, whoa, dude, now? When you had every year a Saw movie released from 2004 to 2007, Every year in October, 2004, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You had 7 Saw films released every year for 7 years. 6 years. 7 movies in 6 years. Then you fucked off for a while and you delivered a shitty movie in 2017 called Jigsaw. And now it's like, oh, no. But now we're going back. I don't care. Does that mean the movie's not going to be good? No, it could actually be really good. But when I see this trailer, there's nothing wrong with the trailer in and of itself. It looks intriguing, looks cool, right? You know, as a standard base level sort of trailer. Okay, cool, right? Like it's not a bad trailer. I'm not here to say it's a bad trailer. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying that. Not at all. Please don't misunderstand what I'm saying. I'm not saying it's a bad trailer. Not at all. It's not a bad trailer. I'm not saying it's not going to be a good movie. Could be a great movie. Could be great. We could go see it in May and be like, whoa, that was really fucking good, right? But I don't know. I'm supposed to be excited about this. I just can't get excited about it. Maybe I'm too cynical, but fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, I don't care. I'm just like another Saw movie. And when I look at it, I'm like admittedly, I'm more intrigued by this trailer than I have been in any of the other Saw films. But it's because they're even though this is the 9th Saw movie in the franchise, they're playing it like it's the first one. Like it's presented and marketed in sort of a funky kind of way where it's like, this is the first one in a long time. Do you remember? Do you remember? It's that kind of thing, right? Nah. It's like, dude, it's like, I know. Yeah, I remember. You had fucking a lot of shitty movies. I just don't care. And there's a shtick around it. You got Chris Rock and Samuel L. Jackson. That's why people are going to go see this movie. There's nothing in this trailer that makes me go, fuck, I got to go see that movie. No, it's like, I got to go see Chris Rock and Samuel L. Jackson drop a couple motherfuckers in a Saw movie that hopefully is good. I don't know. I just hope that I hope it's really good. I really do. I hope it is a really good movie. The first Saw was fantastic. The second one I enjoyed. The third one I didn't give a shit about. By the time we got to the third one, and then the fourth one I remember seeing in the theater back in 2007, and I thought it was garbage. I didn't like it. And I just didn't care. The novelty had worn. I just think that maybe this should have been its own thriller, its own cop movie that's dark and mysterious and very Seven-like, but it's able to stand on its own. Like even just call the movie Spiral. Now, obviously you don't use the Spiral from the Saw films, obviously, but even if it was its own thing and it's about a killer that is on the loose, in New York or just let it stand on its own, Maybe it was too risky to do that. They needed the Saw IP and the Saw franchise to help get asses in the seats because it was too much of a liability. It was too much of a risk, even with Chris Rock and Samuel L. Jackson. I mean, that's entirely possible. I'm sure that factored in somewhere, but I find it so strange. Really, Chris, you got a story with it. Well, it better be good. It better be. But I'll tell you right now, if I watch this movie and there's nothing in this movie that if I watch this movie and at the end of the movie I think to myself, well, okay, that was enjoyable. I enjoyed that. But this totally could have been its own thing. Like there's nothing, and I can't help but kind of cringe. Did anybody else cringe? Did anybody else cringe and think that at the very end when you see Chris Rock tied to that pipe or whatever, right? And he's got the saw in his hand and he's like, I kind of cringed. And listen, maybe I'm being too hard. I certainly don't want anybody from the studio thinking, fuck McRae, fuck it. I'm just telling you how I feel, man. It looks kind of like, no, we've already seen that. And it was done better 15 years ago. Now, maybe it wasn't done better 15 years ago. Okay, I don't know. But yeah, I've yet to see this movie, right? Maybe they'll do it, it'll be great. But I just like, the Saw, I've seen this. I saw that. I saw it. it was like, oh, and I don't know. I'm just like, and he just kind of looks like already he's ready to cut off his, I don't know, he looks healthy. He looks like he's only been there for an hour and he's ready to cut off his arm or something. I don't know. It just looks like he looks healthy. I don't know. I mean, again, there's no context around it. Maybe he's been there for days and weeks. I don't know. I have no idea. I just, I don't know. I'm having trouble, and I'm not trying to be a contrarian here. I'm really not. You guys know me. If I think something looks fucking amazing, I'm going to tell you I think it looks fucking amazing. But if something kind of, I go, I don't know. I guess I just don't know how to feel about this. There's nothing in the trailer that gets me rip-roaringly excited, but there's nothing in the trailer that makes me think it looks like a disaster. No, not at all. I just look at it and I'm like, why? I guess. I don't know. I think it would have been cool. Like, I just watched Parasite last night. Oh my God, what a fucking amazing movie. If you guys have not watched Parasite, and, you know, full disclosure here, it's subtitled. So if you're not into subtitles, you have to take that, you know, into consideration. But what a fantastic movie. An original story, an original film, mood and atmosphere and tension and great character development, and it was a great film. Loved Parasite. I look at this Saw film and I'm like, I don't care. I don't care. There's nothing in here that makes, I don't see any difference. You know, and I hate to say this. I don't want to say this because they are in the movie. And I'm the first to kind of say, you know, if somebody says, well, if you remove this and if you remove that and if you remove this and, you know, if you remove that, then it's just this. It's like, well, yeah, but they are in there. So you have to judge it for what it is, not what it isn't. You know, so I do understand people that kind of take, but at the same time, I do understand those who might say, well, if you take Chris Rock and Samuel L. Jackson out, I don't, like, there's nothing else around it. And I think that's what people mean, is that when you watch the trailer, there's nothing about anything else around them that is more intriguing than anything we've seen before. Like, really, it's interesting because it's Chris Rock, but the music, the mood, the atmosphere, the flashlights turning a corner, and, you know, the cops coming up with their faces, and, you know, opening a door. You know, and hey, what's going on? And, you know, it's just shit. I mean, you know, it's just kind of like, it looks like another Saw movie. And obviously a police detective, you know, psychological thriller is going to look like that to some degree, but I don't know. I guess I'm just incredibly skeptical that this is going to be. Do I think there's the potential for it to be better than the last few Saw films? Yes, I do. Because it looks like they're going back to sort of, well, like a lot of people are comparing it, a mystery thriller cop movie in the vein of the first Saw or Seven, or, you know, it does have that kind of vibe. So it might be an enjoyable watch. You know, it looks like we're probably put in the same, as audience members, we're probably put in the same position as the main characters. So they don't know what's going on. We don't know what's going on. It's like we're part of the force, right? So we find out this information together. We're on this journey together, uncovering the information. So when the information is revealed to the cops, that's the first time it's revealed to us as well. Because there's other ways you can do it, right? You can put the audience a couple of steps ahead of the characters on screen, so you already know what's going on, but the enjoyment is watching the characters discover what you already know. And a lot of movies are played out like that as well. But then there are films that are played out the other way, right? Where the characters don't know what's going on, you don't know what's going on, and you're on this journey of discovery together, which I actually quite like a lot, because you feel like you're part of the thing. It looks like it's probably played out that way. And maybe it'll be great. Maybe it will. But that first trailer was a fine first trailer. It was fine. But there just wasn't anything. I'm not overly excited about it. I'm just like, okay. You know, it just kind of looks like a trailer for most of the Saw films that you see. You know, it just, this time it's got Chris Rock and Samuel L. Jackson. So, and the Seven comparisons, I mean, really, I think largely is just because of the dynamic between the, you know, you open up, you got the black cop, you got the young white apprentice cop, you know, and the moody atmospheric cop thriller, what's going on? You know, it's like, oh, okay. You know, but I mean, you remove them and I don't think it looks like Seven at all. I think it just looks like Saw. but in some respects, there is a bit of Seven in every Saw movie anyway, right? I mean, it's about a sadistic, manipulative killer that puts his victims in unusual. He doesn't use the 7 deadly sins, but obviously there are parallels in the feel and tone and sort of the vibe of Seven and the Saw, certainly the first few Saw films anyway. So I mean, I can understand that comparison, but I don't know. I just don't care. I just wish that maybe Chris Rock had, if he wanted to do more serious films and he wanted to do a cop thriller, create something original. Create something original that's, and I mean an original story, and it can be about a killer, and of course there'll be parallels to Seven or whatever, of course, but as long as it's an original story with original, themes perhaps, and original characters, it might be something really good, and then maybe you take it to somebody like a Fincher, or, hey man, I'm thinking about this. What do you think of this? Or you take it to somebody like I don't know, like even like a Nolan, or like really, really nurture it, really work it, really take your time with it. If it just Saw, really, like, is Chris Rock a huge Saw fan? Maybe he is. I have no idea. Maybe he is a gigantic Saw fan. I really have no idea. But I just found that strange. It wouldn't be the first thing I would do. But is there a probability factor that this could be an enjoyable experience? Yes, because it looks like they're going back to sort of the earlier style of the Saw films. You have a director who directed the sequel and a couple of films after that. I think it will probably be, I think there's a high probability that it will be a film that you are, I think there's a high probability that you are going to enjoy the film more than you've enjoyed the last couple. Pete Callan says, yeah, from what I understand, he's a big fan. Well, that can be a good thing and that can be a bad thing, right? I mean, that can be a good thing and that can be a bad thing. You don't want Chris Rock to, you don't want your subjective fanboy love for a franchise to necessarily blind you into what is objectively better. So just because you think that might be a cool scene, a cool shot, a cool moment, doesn't mean it's the right thing to do. But who knows? I mean, we haven't seen the movie. Like, I think that's what it is for me. The very last shot of the trailer, or the second last shot, or whatever it is, of Chris Rock tied to that pipe with a saw in his hand, right? Just makes me think that he's fanboying the first movie. That's what I think. Now, I'm not saying he's doing that, not at all, but I can't help but cringe a little bit when I see that and he's there and he's tied and he's like, and he holds up the saw and he's like, it just kind of makes me go, you really love that first movie. So it's like a like it's like he's fanboying that first movie. Like, it looks so similar. It feels like, I have no context around it. The movie could be fucking amazing. Could be fucking amazing. I don't know, right? I don't know. These are just my overall feelings. Am I cynical? Yes, I am. There's 9 fucking movies. And most of them are dog shit. So of course I'm cynical. But, when I and then I see this movie and I'm like, okay, cool vibe, cop heist movie. I don't know. It's like, is it going to feel too gimmicky? Samuel L. Jackson, we're just waiting for him to drop motherfucking bombs all over the place. And it's like, is that the right thing to do? Hey, let's get Samuel L. Jackson in here. But is it the right thing to do? Is it going to be distracting? Because you're just waiting for him to say it. And it's like, maybe he shouldn't say it. He's an actor. Just because he can drop a motherfucking bomb like it's nobody's business doesn't mean that he has to do that in every movie he's in. He's supposed to be, and I know he doesn't do that. Obviously, he's not Nick Fury doing that. But I'm just saying that maybe he shouldn't do that, right? I don't know. I mean, I haven't seen the film. I'm skeptical. I like the idea of a cop. Like, I like that it feels the way it kind of does, but there's nothing. I like the cop angle of it, I guess I should say. I like the cop angle of it and the way it kind of, but it feels like this movie should have come out like 10 years ago, you know, or there should have been no sequels after the first 2 or 3. And then you wait 10 years and then this is like a return. You know, it feels like I'm supposed to be excited over a return when it never really went away. It kind of feels like I know there were no films between, 2010 and 2017. I understand that. That's 7 years. It's a long time. But there was a Jigsaw film in 2017. And Jigsaw has remained, I don't know. It doesn't feel, it just feels, it's a strange feeling when I watch the trailer. I think you should have just called it Spiral and had nothing to do with Saw. I think it just should have been a cop movie that had nothing to do with Saw. But that wouldn't have got asses in the seats. That wouldn't have tapped into the nostalgia, which is the era we're in now. You know, you couldn't have used the the theme. You couldn't use that, obviously. You know, you couldn't use the Saw Spiral. There's a lot of things you couldn't use to tap into the nostalgia, into the, oh shit, no you didn't. But I mean, yeah, they did. They've been doing it for a while. I mean, it just, I don't know. Do you guys feel the same way? Maybe you guys are extremely excited. Maybe you guys you think the trailer looks fucking amazing. You can't fucking wait. You've loved every fucking Saw movie without question. Maybe this looks, this is going to be great. You just can't wait. And you know what? I wish I could be you. I wish I could. But I've just been burned too many times that I just don't. I'm like, okay, am I intrigued by the trailer? Yes, I'm definitely intrigued, but it feels like it's too little too late. I can't get excited because there's so much shitty mythology. Like there's so many shitty movies. I'm just like, it kind of feels like it's wasted. It just feels like it's too late. Like they're trying to mask it now and trying to get me excited over something that's just worn thin. And I just don't care. It just kind of feels like that for me. Whereas if this movie had come out, like I said, if this movie had come out 10 years ago, or if there had been no films after the first 2 Saw, I'd probably be really excited. But I don't know. I don't care, and Chris Rock and a motherfucking Samuel L. Jackson is just not enough for me to care. However, I will say that the creative choice to go backwards and make it more like a 7-ish cop, whodunit, little mystery, that intrigues me, yes. But then I wonder, is Jigsaw in this movie? Tobin Bell is not, is it Tobin Bell? Tobin Bell, I think. He's not listed on IMDb. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean he's not in it. I know he technically, Jigsaw died, technically. Well, Kramer technically died in part 3, and then, I get all that, but I don't see that he's in it. Like, I know it doesn't include the 2017 film. It doesn't include the 2017 film at all. So, is it a new killer that's taken over and taking on the mantle of Saw? Maybe that's what's happening. And a new Jigsaw. It's kind of like, well, okay, we'll see what happens. But then here's what's so funny. Let's say that, here's what I find so ridiculous. Okay, let's say Tobin Bell is not returning. Okay, he's not returning. All right, chat room says he's not returning. Okay, let's say that. Let's say that they're telling he's not returning. Okay. Then do something else. Use it as an opportunity to create. Listen, this is basically rhetorical because I know why, but I'm just saying, do something else. Use it as an opportunity to create another, what could be potentially an iconic villain. You do something else then. Because if what you're going to do is either literally or metaphorically pass the spiral onto somebody else, then why don't you just create somebody else and let them breathe and flourish on their own? I hate how films and series feel messy with loose ends, and it feels like walking into a bed. These fucking horror franchises feel like walking into a bedroom that is unfinished, that, you know, is half painted, and there's like, you know, 3 bedposts and 1 post is missing. It feels messy. It feels incomplete. You know, when you start going on and you start, no, what about this? Oh, I know, what about this? Oh, I know, what about this? Oh, fuck, what about this? Would you stop it? Stop. You're pulling me in so many directions. I just don't know what to do. I don't care. I just don't care anymore. I don't care. And that's sort of how I feel. And I think maybe instead of, if Tobin Bell's not that his return would make the movie any better, but if he's not returning, then and you know, I see Daisy McMillan here says copycat killer. Maybe, but then why? Then just make your own fucking movie. Make your own story, your own villain, your own mythology. Start from scratch. Make it this interesting cop, you know, film, a detective thriller about this, you know. And sure, there might be some parallels to Seven, but who gives a fuck? You know, you can't really avoid that anymore, because Seven is sort of the quintessential, you know, mystery thriller cop film at the end of the day. I mean, it's the bar that you're going to be comparing, but you don't have to copy it, right? No pun intended. But you just you go and you create something new from scratch. You know, and create a real cool, awesome movie. Why does it have to be in the Saw universe? I think that's my first question. Why Saw? Like, it's not like, you know, Saw left on a positive note. You know, it's not like, and I understand that, you know, he's like, oh, but it's a reboot sort of, but not a remake. And I have this new idea to take Saw in a different direction. And okay, but I mean, so I guess it's got to be something, right? It's going to be either a copycat killer, Jigsaw's left something behind, and, you know, somebody who's obsessed with Jigsaw's doing his dirty work, or maybe it'll end up being Chris Rock. You know, he's lying the whole time, and there's this twist, and it's just like, but it's like, dude, wouldn't that be great in its own shit? You know, I could understand if Saw was this amazing franchise. And look, I mean, some of the films have made a lot of money, you know, and this is all about money. But I guess I just think that the movies are largely garbage, that I'm just like, you want to play in the Saw sandbox, Chris? You know, like, I hope this isn't your fanboy thing talking here, because, you know, I mean, really, Chris, that's what you want to do? You just want to, because you love Saw so much, you want to fanboy out? Oh, well, okay, man, but I hope you've got something really good, because otherwise it'll make bank opening weekend and then fall, and then, you know, and there you go. Spiral 2 won't happen. I don't know. I just think Spiral's a cool name. I like the idea of the symbolism of a spiral. There's a lot of layers there that you could tap into. I just think you have an opportunity to create a different character and a different story, and let it sort of breathe on its own merits, rather than, and again, I understand why they didn't do that, but it's just disappointing to me, because I don't care about it's hard for me to care about Spiral when I haven't cared about Saw for so many years. And, you know, but I'm willing to watch the movie with an open mind and open arms, and have my mind changed, and walk out of the theater going, wow. See, that's one thing for those of you that are new. It's one thing that you'll if you don't already, you'll start to get with me, is I am blunt. I'm honest about how I feel. That's why, you know, I often say, don't come to me to have what you think validated. If we agree on the same things, that's awesome, right? But don't come to me, you know, looking for me to sort of confirm what, you know, you already love, because we might like, you know, different things, right? And that's okay. And sometimes we'll agree and sometimes we won't, and that's awesome. But I'm always blunt. I'm always going to be honest. And sometimes I think, you know, I say things very harshly to be blunt and to be honest, to put myself out there and say, you know, here's how I feel. But at the end of the day, I am somebody that does go into movies with as little expectations as I possibly can, depending on the film, because I want to love movies. I don't want to hate movies. I'm a movie guy. So I don't go into movies wanting to hate movies. I don't care if it's the next Star Wars movie. I don't care if J.J. Abrams, or I don't care if Rian Johnson was directing it. I want to love his movie. I want to like it. I want to love Halloween Kills. Do I think I'm going to? I don't know. But I want to love it. I don't want it to fail. I don't want it to be garbage. Are you kidding me? I want it to be great. I want Spiral to be amazing. I want it to be amazing. But the probability, they're behind the eight ball for many different reasons. So I'm always like, I don't know, man. Like, was this really the right thing to do? But then when the movie comes, I put my expectations aside. I walk in, I go, okay, surprise me. Let's see this, right? Let's see what you're doing. And hopefully I'll like it. But the trailer in and of itself was just a normal trailer, and you just had Chris Rock and Samuel L. Jackson in there. Okay. Cool. I just think it looks fine. Looks fine. But I am not confident that it's going to be I just think the Samuel L. Jackson and Chris Rock aren't enough for me to get me excited. I hope it doesn't become shticky, like gimmicky. It doesn't look, it looks like it plays out like a serious thriller. That's good. But just that last shot of Rock with the saw, I'm just like, oh, that looks like you're fanboying out from the first movie. It just feels like that. It feels like a shot that's like, oh, maybe we should have seen you hanging upside down or something. I don't know. It's how I feel about it. But you know what? It's the first trailer. No doubt there probably will be another one, and TV spots, of course, in the next couple of months. We're very close to the release of that movie in May. So we will know. We will definitely know. If you're watching my show after the fact, comment below and let me know your thoughts on what you thought of the trailer, what you think of the Saw franchise, what you want to see from Spiral, whether some things that I touched on here that you're like, yeah, that's a good point, man. Comment below and let me know your thoughts. All right, let's move over to the chat room here on this Thursday, February 6th, 2020, and see what people are saying about movies and Saw. Let's see. Super chat comes in from Frank Riker. Thanks, buddy. Says, take every possession film and add the Exorcist theme and people will think it's part of the series. That's where I see the Saw franchise heading. Yeah, you make a good point there, Frank. You make a very good point. I guess it is sort of in some ways that kind of thing where I just sort of, it's okay. Spiral is a spinoff. Okay. Maybe this killer, whoever it is, like somebody said here, is a copycat killer, right? But it's still linked to it's still linked to the Jigsaw and Saw, and I just think it would have been cool maybe to do something else. It's how I feel, but who the hell knows? But you're right. There is a lot of there's a lot of parallels and a lot of similarities when you go down the Exorcist route, for sure. I agree with that. All right, make sure I didn't miss any other super chats. I don't think I did. No. Okay, good. EdRed7712 says, Jason Myers, he's talking to somebody. I think the main difference with the comparison of the Jordan Peele as a directorial editors or original concepts. Definitely. You know what? That is true. Get Out was an original idea and concept, and so was Us. Now, I actually preferred Get Out to Us. I didn't really like Us all that much. I liked it, but I thought there was more. I think there, for me, Us was there was some untapped sort of I don't know. I just didn't like it as much as I did Get Out. However, I will say this, and this is the right way to do it. When we talk about, casting more people more people who are Black or more people who are Asian or, different ethnicities and, all that, this is how you do it. It's because the family in Us could have been any color, could have been white, Asian, brown, Black. It didn't matter. The color of their skin was irrelevant to the story. And that is, I loved seeing that. because the last thing you want to do is create things that are preachy or on the nose or a little too political. It could have been anybody. It just happened to be a black family. And I think that's awesome. That's how you raise people up. That's how you give them the opportunities to show that we're just like you and I. Now, are there differences between the races and the sexes and all that kind of stuff? Sure, of course there are. But in terms of being a human being and the human experience and things that we're experiencing in terms of love and family dynamics and love and loss and just, living day to day, we're more similar than we are different. And, seeing that was great. I love seeing that. I don't like seeing things that are a little too preachy or on the nose, because nobody likes to be told how to think or what to do. And if you're doing it very much on the nose and very invasive, it rubs people the wrong way. But what I did like about it was it could have been any family. It could have been any family. And that's what I really liked about that the most. Funny enough. But yeah, no, I actually preferred Get Out to Us. I preferred that one to Us. But I look forward to seeing what Jordan Peele does next. For me, he's 1 for 1, but we'll see. Julian Salgado says, "Hey Dave, so are you gonna go see it?" Am I gonna go see what? Spiral? Maybe. I will definitely see Spiral. Whether I'll get to the movie theater to see it or not, I don't know. But I definitely will see it. Jason Meyer says, "Dave, did you do your homework? I asked you last week what your favorite Hammer horror movie is. You told me to ask again after you thought about it." No, I didn't. Because I've been so busy. So I will definitely. You have to ask me again in the future at some point. Maybe wait a couple of months or something. So I've had time to sort of because I've been so busy with Dylan's New Nightmare and the voiceover work and It's Me, Billy, and the show and Two Dudes and Some Bullshit and I haven't had a chance to sort of refresh myself with the Hammer films. I haven't watched a lot of the Hammer films in many, many, many years. So I got to kind of go through the list, go, oh, yes, I remember that one. Yes, I like that one, whether it's, Lee doing the Dracula stuff or, whatever it is. I got to go back and I got to sort of refresh myself. So ask me again in the future, buddy. Frank Riker says, unfortunately, thanks for the super chat, Frank, says, "Unfortunately, I see Rock as a comedian, unlike Eddie Murphy, who can do awesome dramas like Dreamgirls or can be serious in Beverly Hills Cop. He's funny in Beverly Hills Cop, but he does have some serious moments. That's true." Yeah, Chris Rock, I think Chris Rock, it's opportunistic. I mean, look, there's no doubt that this isn't just Chris Rock being, completely innocent and just, he definitely is using this as a potential catalyst to drive him into more serious films and more serious roles. I think as somebody gets older, especially as somebody gets older, you tend to see that. And there are wonderful comedians out there who it is always easier to make the transition from comedy to drama than it is from drama to comedy. And the reason for that is because of the different types of comedy there is. It's not as universal as drama. Comedy, there's different tastes, there's different types of comedy. There's slapstick comedy, there's spoofy comedy, self-aware comedy, witty comedy. There's what you think's funny, I may not. I might really like Three Stooges type comedy, and you might prefer wittier Frasier Crane type comedy. You know what I mean? Like there's so many different levels and types of comedy that it's not a universal translation. So for a comedian, for somebody doing drama, for an actor to make the transition to comedy is always much harder because obviously 9 times out of 10 you have to possess a level of some sort of born performing natural charismatic abilities and comedic timing. Comedic timing is unbelievably important to understand the tiny nuances of when something should be said and when something should not be said. You say this now, it's hilarious. You say it 3.8 seconds later, it falls flat. Comedy is really all about timing. Now, when we move over to drama, right? It's a much more of a universal translation because a lot of drama has to do with the human experience and the human condition, and whether it's love and loss and the power of believing or family, and it's more of a universal translation. So when you actually are able, so that's why comedians can often tap into those same emotions that they use to make people laugh, and then they can also now, for lack of a better saying, make people cry, right? And they're to make people laugh and cry are very similar to each other. They're very similar in the sense of the places that you go as an actor. And so that's essentially why. But the older you get, especially for men, there are more. I think there are more male comedian actors, I think, certainly, than women. Not that there aren't, but I think for men especially. Like I was talking about this the other day on the show. I was talking about Mr. Bean, right, and how Rowan Atkinson was asked, are you going to do any more Bean? And Rowan's well into his 60s now, and he was like, well, I'm paraphrasing, but he basically said, I think once you get to a certain age, it's not really funny. It becomes sort of sad because people are no longer seeing this funny, quirky character my age, 40, right? They're seeing this old man. So now it doesn't look like a simpleton anymore, a simple, naive little twit, who's doing all these. Now it looks like an old man with dementia, right? And it becomes kind of sad, and that's why it feels weird to see Jim Carrey now approaching his 60s, if he's not already, it's like, is Jim Carrey going to do, like, he talked about doing another Ace Ventura movie, and it's kind of like, when you're 30 years old, when you're 60 going, it's kind of like, and the wrinkles and it feels almost strange, right? So a lot of actors make that transition into more serious roles. Although Rock looks great for his age, he's not that old, but he looks good. He's in his 50s, I think, isn't he? I understand the need to maybe want to explore drama, right? Maybe want to, he's getting older, wants to do other things. I get that, but Saw. It's just weird. I'm not, and look, apparently he's a big Saw fan. He's an amazing Saw fan. He can do whatever the fuck he wants. He's, very rich, wealthy, and he's got all the connections. But I just find it a very interesting. I just don't know if Saw was it. But you know what? I was also somebody that in 1997 thought that Titanic was going to bomb. I remember seeing the trailers, and I said to my mother, I said, that movie's going to bomb. What the fuck? Who are we? This looks. So it became the highest grossing movie in motion picture history. Not only did it not bomb, it became the highest grossing movie in motion picture history and was the highest grossing movie in motion picture history for the better part of like 11 years. So, I mean, don't listen to me if you take anything away from that. Who knows? Maybe it'll be great. Maybe it will be great, man. I don't know. Let me see here. Aaron White says Jim Carrey, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, or even The Truman Show had a good mix of drama and comedy. Those are two great movies. Jim Carrey's a talented actor, very talented. A lot of comedians can make the transition. I think, look, I'm open to seeing Rock do this 100%. I think he could do it. I just am like, really, Saw? Because it's not like, was anybody wanting a Saw? Like, do people want, like, that's the thing too. Was the demand there? Because if I don't think the demand was there. Nobody liked Jigsaw. I mean, it made $102 million or something like that at the box office, but like you've heard me say 1,000 times, just because a movie makes a lot of money doesn't mean it was a good movie. It just means a lot of people went to see it, because you can't get your money back if you didn't like the movie. So, now it can mean a movie is really good. Absolutely it can, but those things are not mutually exclusive to each other. There's a plethora of examples of movies that have made hundreds of millions of dollars that nobody likes, So, I mean, it just feels weird. Saw? If it was like said that Chris Rock is doing this serious cop thriller called Spiral and had nothing to do with Saw, okay. I just hope we don't go see the movie in May and walk out going, well, that was a good movie. I enjoyed that, but it could have been anything. It didn't really have, like, they didn't have to, it didn't have to be Saw related at all. It could have been, I hope that doesn't happen, because that's going to make me even more disappointed that they didn't go off and do something else. I don't know. We'll see. Let me see here. Aaron White. Oh, I already said that. Or already read that, I should say. Tiffany Moses Shante is talking to Chris Riker. I'm sure people said the same thing about Eddie Murphy and other comedians before they did the first serious role. Oh, 100%. 100%. 100%. I fully believe that Chris Rock can absolutely, I think the potential is there for him to do it. 100%. 100%. But I do think it's a strange, I'm open to being proven wrong in terms of a Saw movie. We'll find out. The Badass Ninja says the original working title was called The Organ Donor. Yes, it was. Yep. It definitely was. Definitely was. I'll have to ask my buddy Bruce if they supplied the gear for it. I'll have to ask him if they supplied the gear for it. Let me send him a text. Maybe he'll get back to me. We're live on air. I'm going to send him a text right now and see. Hey, dude, how's it going? Exclamation mark. I'm live on air right now, comma. Did you guys supply the gear for the latest Saw movie, comma, Spiral? Question mark. Let's see. Now, he might not get back to me while I'm on air, but that's okay. It doesn't hurt to send it and see what he says. I'll be very curious to know if they supplied the gear, because they could have gone to White's, or they could have gone to, it used to be called Production Services. I don't think it's PS anymore. I'm curious to know. The Manhammer AR-15 says, Sir Dave, why do you think negativity is most people's first response? Why do I think negativity is most people's first response? Because I think that's a very deep and loaded question. It's a good question. Off the top of my head, I think culture plays a role. And I think that, it's the kind of thing where, cynicism, skepticism, I think, and I think it's insidious, especially nowadays as well, because of the internet, because of the way we can communicate, and mostly because everybody thinks their opinion matters. And like I've said 1,000 times, everybody is entitled to their opinion, but there are more ill-informed opinions running around than informed ones. And opinions come from a place of emotion, and informed opinions come from a place of based in facts, things we can look at, point to, measure. Here's why. A regular opinion is just how you personally feel about it, whether it's right or wrong. It doesn't matter at the end of the day, really. And I think what's happened is that because of social media, because of being able to communicate like this, because of chat rooms and comment sections and things like that, and because of people in their day-to-day lives, and people and technology and the political climate, and people need outlets. They need all sorts of outlets. They want to feel heard. They want to feel like their views mean something, like their views matter, like what I believe means something, what I want to say matters. I want somebody to hear me. I feel strongly about this. I just want somebody to listen. I just want somebody to say, "Hey, I hear you, man." Now, most of these people don't think of this consciously. It's not like, they're walking around self-aware of this. It's more of a subconscious thing. But I think that plays into it. I think the political climate, the social climate, the communication climate, it's just sort of, it's a cynical sort of world we live in. And I think people are, and we also have to remember too, that negativity gets more clicks, more views, and more comments than positivity. It's just what it is. That's why I said to you a while back that there is a vested interest in seeing Disney Star Wars fail when it came to the Rise of Skywalker or J.J. Abrams or, whatever the case is. They need it to fail. They could love that movie, and they couldn't go back to their followers and say they did, because there is an expectation and a vested interest now in having something. It's rampant. It's become a business. Negativity's become a business because people love seeing people rant and rave, because they love feeling a communal connection. Yeah, fuck yeah, that's right. Yeah, see, yeah, fuck yeah. It's just it's the world we live in, right? It's people there are so many people in this world that don't feel heard or feel like they want their thoughts and views to matter. And now that's sort of a, believe it or not, a nutshell version of sort of the tapping into what I think you're talking about there. I think that's why almost instinctually people sort of go there, you know, because they know it's fun to, and it's fun to watch people rant about things that you hate too, you know, because you feel a connection. You feel you feel about the things you love just as equal of a connection with the people about the things you hate. It's true. You know, you and I can talk about how much we love Halloween, right? And we can talk about how much we I'm not saying everybody here, but say you loathe Halloween 5, right? Let's say you do. Let's just say you do. And you and I can talk about how much we loathe Halloween 5, and we share the exact same probably level of dopamine and satisfaction that we get from talking about the things we love. It can become addictive for some people, you know, and it fills a void and a need for those out there that feel like they don't have a voice, that aren't doing this, talking on camera to, you know, thousands of people, maybe millions of people around the world, and because they're too shy or they're too this or that, or, you know, whatever it is. And it's a community. You know, I always try to, look, I love to rant and rave and talk about things that piss me off too, but I always do my best to come at it from an informed opinion standpoint, that I can point to things that are better and why they're better and why you should not have done that, things we can measure and talk about and all that kind of stuff. And every now and then I like to just talk from a place of emotion too. But I think in a nutshell, that's sort of why. It's a lot to do with the social climate we're in now. Lauren Downing talking to George the Spartan. Nick P was here, says if something legitimately sucks, it's one thing. There's obviously now a fashion to hate something for basically the reason you just explained. Yeah, oh, for sure. There's a lot of there's an invested interest in it. Absolutely. It's why I can't take most of the Star Wars shit is just garbage. I just can't take them seriously. There are a few people that I listen to that come at it from more of an objective, informed standpoint, that know their shit, are well informed, and can articulate why and give examples of why, from not an emotional fuck you piece of shit way, but just more of an informed way, from an informed standpoint. And I appreciate that. But those that look for things to complain about, those that, and it's like it's like teams, right? Like for you guys in the States, you know, you're either a Democrat or a Republican, you know, and it doesn't matter what it doesn't matter what happens, right? It doesn't matter. You have to, it's like teams. It's like sports teams. You've got to support the person, you know, that you're with, right? That person can do no wrong. That it's like cult. It's like a cult almost, right? And, you know, it's this climate that we're in, and the YouTube space has become like that. It's very difficult for me. If you do not give credit where credit is due, it's very difficult for me to take you seriously when your guy fucks up and you don't say anything. Like I can't take you. If you are going to be loud, really loud when something you don't like happens, but you're completely silent. Sorry, let me say that again. If you are very loud when something you don't like happens on the other team, let's say, and the other team can be political, can be sports, it can be movie space, right? If you're very loud about something happening that you don't like, but you're completely fucking silent when they do something right, legitimately, objectively right, then I can't take you seriously. I can't take you seriously. And that's why I said to you, J.J. Abrams could have delivered the most amazing film ever created. And I guarantee you people would have hated it. 100%. Because they have to. They have to hate it. They spent 2 years talking about how shitty Star Wars is and how shitty J.J. Abrams is and how shitty this new movie is going to be. Even if it was, and I don't think it's the greatest Star Wars film of all time, but even if it was, hypothetically, they would have to hate it. They have to. It's a game. They have to. They could have walked out going, "Wow, that was really fucking good," but I can't go back now and tell all my viewers. I gotta keep it up. You know, I can't take those people seriously. I just can't. Yeah, I just can't. That's why I'm somebody that I love The Force Awakens, but didn't like The Last Jedi. I feel confident saying that because it's true. It's real. I give credit where credit is due. I can look at things and go, I'm not really crazy on that, whatever. And I can talk about this, but it's just so hard to take people seriously. There's somebody I know let's just say there's somebody I know in the political world. They're not in the political world, but somebody I know who's obsessed with, up here in Canada, it's the Liberals or the Conservatives, right? That's who the two main parties here are essentially. And this woman, who I will leave nameless, is very, she's a liberal, and she's very, fuck this, about all the conservatives, right? Naturally, as you get down there in the States too, right? But then when their own party leader does something fucking stupid, she's silent. Silent. If you're not going to call out your own fucking shit, then I can't take it. Like, it's complete nonsense. It's complete nonsense. I can't take you seriously. I can't take you seriously. I don't give a fuck. I can't take you seriously, right? Because it's not objective. It's not. It's just teams. It's just teams, right? It's teams, and it's like that in the movie space too, right? The fandom menace. Their sole purpose is to destroy Disney Star Wars, essentially, right? I mean, that's what no, it's not that. It's not that. It's just, we want a big, fuck off. It's not that. Give me a break. If it wasn't that, then you would do your due diligence about how the motion picture industry and the production and the levels of the filmmaking process works, because I've seen so many videos from the fandom menace where they don't know their asses from their elbows about the things they're talking about. And I think, oh my God, and of course, when something good happens, they're silent, because it doesn't fit with the narrative they're trying to perpetuate. So anyway, it's one of those things that is hard for me to take seriously. And I'm not a perfect person, okay? I have biases too, but I try to be as honest as I possibly can with you guys, from an objective standpoint, because I think I will give credit where credit is due, where I think it's due. I will admit when I'm wrong, and because I think that's important. I think it's important, especially in this climate. You know what I mean? It's fucking crazy. I just wish people would. There's nothing wrong with not liking Disney Star Wars. Don't misunderstand me. I'm not talking about people that just don't like it. You can not like this movie or anything JJ's ever done in your entire life. That's okay. But you got to be able to back it up with intelligent, thought-provoking discussions. I hate something, it's garbage, which you hear me say a lot, but if you want me to go into the details of why I hate something, sir, I could do it. I could quantify it. A lot of these people can't, because they jump on the train. Robert Kitzmiller, sometimes I hate you most. Sometimes I hate you most times I like watching, but just wanted to say I think it's awesome. You're one of the only channels that stays connected with its audience. It means a lot. Hey, no problem, man. No problem at all. There's a lot of great channels out there. We don't always have to agree. We're not always going to agree. We're not. We're just not. I realize that for some, I'm an acquired taste. I'm a loud, in your face kind of guy at times. I understand that. I do. It's part of who I am. It's not, that part is not an act. I'm a performer. I'm an actor, right? I come from that kind of background. I'm passionate about things I'm passionate about. I come from a very sort of outgoing, loud, charismatic family. It's built, you should see way back in the day, our family get-togethers and, barbecues and I come from one of those families, you know what I mean? So I'm that kind of guy, and I understand that I'm an acquired taste for some, and some people love that and some people don't like that. But at the end of the day, what it's really all about is being able to respect your audience. And actually, I actually always hope that you don't always agree with me, because it's much more fun to see you guys it's always fun to see you guys agreeing with me, but it's always fun to see you guys also, it creates good, healthy discussion, right? You should never, there's nothing wrong with watching people, and if you agree with that person most times, that's awesome, that's great. But there's nothing wrong with being challenged, myself included. There's nothing wrong. We should be challenged. It would be a god-awful world if we agreed with, we should not agree. We should not agree with everything. We shouldn't. It's just silly that way. Thank you for the super chat, Robert. I really, really appreciate it, and I really appreciate you being here. I appreciate all you guys being here. Lauren Downing says, George and I were talking about H kills being the same night as H218. He said the clock reads 10:45 when Vicky takes the kid up to bed. So how could kills be happening the same night? A lot going on. Well, you know what? I think it is. I mean, according to Jim Dorsey, I believe, who's a viewer of this channel, he spoke to Nick Castle back in October, and Nick Castle confirmed that Halloween Kills and Ends are happening on the same night. Now, whether that actually comes to be, who knows, but that is what he is doing. What is going to happen. Now, keep in mind that, yes, technically, if it were to cross midnight, then technically it's November 1st. But I think it's safe to say that most of Halloween 2 from 1981 also took place on November 1st. I think really at the end of the day that Halloween ends at dawn. I think it's safe to say that, even though it's crossed midnight and technically it's November 1st, it's still Halloween night, right? It's still the same night, right? So from 10:45 to 11:45 to 12 to 1 to 2 to 3 to 4, I think it's still it's still Halloween night, right? It would still be if it was a real situation, it would still be perceived as Halloween night 2018, right? The Halloween 2018 massacre. Like, it would never be archived in history as, the Halloween and November 1st, 2018 massacre. It would never be like that, right? If you were going through the old microfilm, dated myself here, but if you were on the internet, 30 years from now, I mean, it would probably enter the pop culture as that, the 2018, Halloween night massacre, because it's still Halloween night for all intents and purposes. So I even though it's 10:45, if the clock was right, by the way, because let's not forget, I know that clock, that scene you're talking about, it's when she's going up or down the stairs, can't remember which. It does say that. Who's to say that the clock wasn't broken? Who's to say the clock, it was the wrong time? Maybe they forgot to put the clocks back, right? Fall back, spring ahead, depending on where you are in the world. Daylight savings time. Who's to say that they forgot to put the clocks back and it's actually 9:45, right? There's so many things you can do to justify. And also, too, what's interesting, and I broke this back in last year. I don't know if you guys remember, if you zoom up on Karen's phone towards the, on one particular scene, it actually has the wrong date. Let me just see. Hang on a sec here. Let me just bring this up because I'm blanking on it. It was a video I did. I don't know if you guys remember this. It was a video I did back last year. Boy, I did so many. Maybe it's damn. I did so many. I've done so many videos. It's hard for me to find. I don't see it coming up here. I can't remember the title of it. Maybe you guys will be able to pick. Actually, you know what? I might be able to get to it if I just go to my channel and go to my channel. Oh, you know what? It's totally not there. I took away that playlist. Anyway, I cannot remember the video, but I did a video, and there's a scene in the original. There's a scene in the 2018 movie where if you look closely at Karen's phone, it actually has the wrong date on it, which is interesting. Damn, wish I could remember what that was. So who knows what, I mean, there's so many different things that you could do to justify it, but I get what you're saying though. I do get what you're saying. Let me just go back and make sure I didn't miss any super chats. I don't think I did. No, I did not. Okay, good. Goody, good. Let's see here. Scrolling. Jacqueline McEwen says, if Friday the 13th, part 3 and 4 can take place on a Saturday and Sunday, I think Halloween Kills can take place on November 1st. Exactly. Yeah, I agree. I don't think it's a big deal. Now, I think it's good that one second, guys. You guys can hear me, but you can't see me. Ooh, there we go. Now you can see me. Lights out. Not sure what happened there. There we go. I'm back. Lights out. It was Michael Myers. He cut the lights out. You son of a bitch. Cut the lights out. Good old Michael Myers cutting the lights out. That's what Michael does. He's a maniac, mom. Yeah, he is. Nick P was here, says, in all seriousness, every Hollywood writing room for horror movies should have a seat open for Dave McRae. I appreciate that. They'd probably beg to differ. Frank Reiger says, everyone start yelling at Dave. Dave, I can't see you. Dave, we can't see you, Dave. Can't see you, Dave. What the fuck's going on? What was I saying there? I was talking about, I think it's important that so many movies have taken, as long as the Halloween movie takes place on Halloween night into November 1st, I still consider that Halloween night. I still consider it Halloween night. I do. That's how I feel about it. Danita Brown says, hey, Dave, that's what caught my interest in your channel is that you shoot from the hip and what you think and take and take it on the chin when others don't agree. Yeah, absolutely. I just love, I wouldn't feel like I wouldn't feel good about doing this channel if I didn't say how I felt. Like my job's not to confirm your bias. My job's not to tell you what you already think. My job's to tell you what I think. And then if you agree with me, well, that's great. But if you don't, that's okay. Right? My job is not to coddle you, and I'm so sorry. Here, I'll say it like this. That's not my job. My job is to be me and to be, funny and loud and serious and crazy and just having a good time, right? And yeah, sometimes I get really passionate about shit and I'm like, that's fucking shit. You know what I mean? And sometimes I get passionate about it. There could be guys that Dave McRae's channel is fucking shit. It's fucking garbage. They're entitled to say that. That doesn't bother me. This is par for the course, man. Hey, if you're going to put yourself out there, you got to be prepared for that kind of thing. You know what I mean? Sometimes people will comment on my channel, this guy's a fucking loser. And I'll comment back and go, yeah, I know what you mean. I fucking can't stand him. And I never hear from them again because they're probably like, oh. Where do you go from there, right? I love all you guys. I do. Not everybody loves me, but I love all you guys. Blu-ray Addict says, honestly, the original Evil Dead is my least favorite. My ranking is Ash versus Evil Dead Remake, Army of Darkness, Evil Dead 2, then the original. Ooh, interesting. I haven't watched the Evil Dead franchise in a long time, so admittedly, I couldn't do a ranking right now to figure out sort of what that would be. But that's really interesting. I gotta watch me some Evil Dead again. I haven't watched them in years. The originals. Frank Reiger, super chat. Thank you, buddy. Dave, if you want to see a heated argument, watch a meat eater talk to a vegetarian. It gets really fisticuffed. Seriously. Oh my God. Sometimes my girlfriend and I will watch funny YouTube videos like, public freakouts or like, restaurant fights, or we've never thought about doing the vegan versus the meat eater. That would be funny. That would be fun. I'm so, with me, I'm such a chill person, really. Like, to be serious here for a moment. I know it feels like some, you might know me personally because obviously, you see me every day, but, I'm really such a relaxed person. I like just to have fun and chill and laugh. And I love laughing at the absurdity in life. That's one thing. I usually can see the absurdity in situations. Now, sometimes situations are serious and, There's nothing funny about it at all. But 9 times out of 10, I can usually find the absurdity in things. And because I love to laugh, I certainly would never be rude, and I would never want to laugh at the expense of, somebody else if they were seriously hurt or offended, or, I certainly wouldn't want to intentionally, make somebody feel like crap or something like that. But because of the kind of person I am, I just cannot help but enjoy the fruitfulness of laughter and laughing at the absurdities in life. And there's a lot of things to laugh about. And are there good points that a vegetarian might make and somebody who eats meat might make? Yeah. I mean, if you were to have a serious debate, there could be some good points on both sides, right? But the fact that kind of an argument would resort to fisticuffs is hilarious to me. It's hilarious to me. It's hilarious. I just can't help but find it hilarious. Fucking son of fucking. It's like, it's so ridiculous. It's so ridiculous. Frank, thank you for making me laugh today. I am going to check out those videos. Neil Rook, thank you, buddy, says, hello, my mate. Just popping in to say hi. Hello, Neil. Thank you for the super chat. Really appreciate that. Louis Maldonado. I think I'm saying that right. Did Lori ever find the baby, or did she get caught in the crossfire from Loomis's machine gun? I have no idea. I really don't know. I think that baby is still crying today. I don't know. I don't know. For those of you that don't know what Lewis is talking about, it's a video I have on my channel from a couple of days ago where I just did this silly imagine this thing, where imagine if Loomis actually tried shooting Michael with a machine gun, but he was unable to control it, and it was flying all over the place and hitting Michael, and Lori's crawling on the ground trying to find this baby that's crying. You got to check it out. It's on my channel. It's fucking hilarious. I thought it was funny anyway. But to be totally honest, it was a little more self-indulgent than anything else. The Badass Ninja says, I hate The Evil Dead 2 with a passion. I hate The Evil Dead 2 with a passion. Oh, let's reimagine the ending of the first film, and people are okay with that. If that happened to Halloween, people would be outraged. Well, to be fair, they did erase most of the sequels. They did not reimagine the end of the first film, to be fair, for specifically what you're talking about, Chris. But they did come along and say, hey, Halloween 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, and the 2 Rob Zombie films no longer exist. Sorry, no, out, gone, no longer exist, suckers! They did do that. That might be worse. I don't know. Depends if you're a big fan of the series or not. If you're not a big fan of the series, then who cares, right? Movie Chat and More says, hi, Dave. Who would you say is the better actor, Michael Douglas or Harrison Ford? The better actor? Probably Michael Douglas. But Harrison Ford, I don't know, though. I don't know. Harrison Ford, probably Michael Douglas, I'd say. But Harrison Ford is, he's Harrison Ford. Yeah. And by the way, I forgot to mention this, of course, Kirk Douglas, iconic legend. I might reserve my thoughts for this for tomorrow's show, because I think on tomorrow's show, I might be talking about the legends of Hollywood again and how it's getting crazy and how we're going to lose so many people. And I know it sounds like such a morbid show, but it's more of a show to really, it's really a show to remind people to appreciate, what we have before we don't have it anymore. So I might do that show tomorrow. It all depends on how I feel and what happens. But yeah, Harrison Ford is my favorite actor, and he's great. He's a fine actor. But Michael Douglas, he might be the better actor. Good question. Very good question. Let me see. I am the best, 237. No, listen, you are not the best. Okay. I'm the best. I'm the best, bitch. Just read a new Leatherface movie is being made. Oh man, yep. There's a new Leatherface movie coming. I think it is a direct sequel to the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Now I know they already did that, I think in 2013. But they're doing it again. Is there a demand for it? I think if Halloween Kills is good, and if Halloween Ends is good, and makes boatloads of money at the box office, you may see other horror franchises try to do the same thing. Well, they sort of tried to do that with Child's Play, but didn't really, But Leatherface, it's funny. The Texas Chainsaw Massacre is one of those movies that I really only like two of those movies. I like the first one, 1974. Obviously, it's classic and creepy as fuck. And I like the remake from 2003, 2004, the Platinum Dunes one. I thought that was a solid. That's probably one of the best horror remakes of all time. It was good. I enjoyed it. I don't like any other films. I don't like Texas Chainsaw 2. I think it's too quirky and weird. Leatherface Part 3, didn't like Texas Chainsaw the beginning. It was more of the same. I don't like when people go. I don't like when you make a movie and then you go back. I fucking hate that shit. Unless it's really warranted. I liked the beginning of the Texas remake where they begin. It's essentially a sequel to the original film. I liked the beginning of that movie. I thought that was really well done. It was well done enough that I totally believe that was the same day. The thing I didn't like about it was they essentially made you feel sympathetic for Leatherface. They turned him into sort of an anti-hero. And I didn't like that. Yes, I know he's not all there. I know he's a bit of a simpleton, to say it like that. Okay. I know he's not, he's not all mentally there. Okay. I get that. But he still is a mass murderer. He murders people. He eats people. He makes masks from their skin, from their faces. I should not feel an ounce of sympathy for him. It's sad that he grew up in a family like that. It's very sad. But at the end of the day, you still got to do the time. And I didn't like that they were painting this picture that, oh, poor Leatherface. Fuck that. Fuck that, man. I should fear this man. I should be petrified of this man. And making this girl who happens to be this long lost, sister or whatever, I just didn't like it. I just didn't like the idea that I'm now feeling sympathy for both of them. So I just wasn't a fan of that. And I just haven't liked them. So the Texas Chainsaw Massacre is one of those movies that is there probably is room for some playing around, but at the end of the day, I don't know. I'm not overly excited for it, to be honest with you. I'm really not at the end of the day. I don't know. Okay, we'll go for a few more minutes here. A few more minutes. Make sure I didn't miss any super chats. I don't think I did. Neil Rook was the last one. Oh. Sounded like my Google came alive there. I don't know. Anybody hear that voice? I think it was Google. I think when I said Rook. Sounded like my Google came alive. Mohammed Camber says, Dave, Goodfellas or The Godfather? Also, what are your thoughts on Fincher's masterpiece Fight Club? Well, Fight Club is amazing. It's a fantastic film. Godfather or Goodfellas? I haven't seen The Godfather in years. I think The Godfather is probably the better movie. But man, Goodfellas is good. Goodfellas is great. I mean, that's probably one of, if not Joe Pesci's best performance, probably. I don't know, but certainly I would say The Godfather probably is objectively probably the better movie. I mean, even The Godfather 2 is a masterpiece. Goodfellas, although is great, but it's great not in the same ways. Goodfellas is a little more like, it's a little more self-aware. I mean, not self-aware in like a spoof sense, but it's more of like, it's kind of in some, like it's because it's got the narration from, what's his face there? I'm drawing a blank on his name. But I mean, it's just one of those, yeah, I don't think, it's just a little self-aware, and it's fun. It's kind of tongue-in-cheek a little bit, and I like it a lot. For sure. Untouchables versus Scarface. Ooh, two very different movies. Untouchables is great. If you guys have not seen The Untouchables from 1980, what was it, 7, I think? Something like that? Yeah, that's a film that Sean Connery won an Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor, I believe. Kevin Costner, and that's a great movie. That's a really good movie. And De Niro as Al Capone. That was great. Great stuff, man. Great stuff. Movie Chat and More says, if an unknown was to budget your movie with the $2 million, would you be willing to give up creative control 100%? No. No. If it's a personal piece, if I wrote a film about a duck that I wasn't emotionally attached to, sure. But if it was a personal project, I couldn't give up. No, I would negotiate that creative control was part of the contract. And if they were like, nope, sorry, we want creative control, then I'd say, no, sorry. Ain't gonna happen. Because then it's just for the money then, right? Because the likelihood of them taking what I have created and rearranging it and making it something that's their own, then it's not about the project, is it? It's not about the film or the story or the message or the characters. It's just about the money. And sometimes that's okay. And if you're not emotionally attached to the project, like if I write a story called, The Two Ducks and the Cow, and I like it. I like what I created. I think it's funny and cute and, this is kind of fun. I liked it, but I'm not emotionally attached to it. I'm not emotionally invested and have had, visions of the future and seeing this movie and directing this movie and, seeing it come to life and editing this movie and all that. I haven't had any of that. It's just a cool little cute story that I wrote. Sure. Because at the end of the day, then it's like, whatever. But if I am really emotionally attached and really emotionally invested, then I don't think I could do that. Because I would feel like I was selling out, essentially. I was selling out. Duke Fleed says, hey, Dave, apart from Halloween, which other John Carpenter films do you like and why? Well, come on. The Thing, The Fog, In the Mouth of Madness, Big Trouble in Little China, Escape from New York. I also like his Village of the Damned. Not a great movie, but it's kind of a guilty pleasure for me. I like that movie as well. And In the Mouth of Madness was actually shot up here. And that big gothic-looking church, I wonder if I have a picture of it on my phone. Oh, wait, hey, my buddy Bruce got back to me. He says, yes, we did. He got back to me. So yes, yes, they did. So Whites did supply the gear for Spiral. Cool. Okay, that's good to know that. I'll have to talk to him more about that. Thank you, Bruce. Much appreciated. Spiral. I have a photo somewhere on my phone. I'm pretty sure, at least I think I do, of that big Gothic church that is in the Mouth of Madness. You know what? It might be when I switched phones. It might have went to the other phone. Yeah. That's what it looks like. I don't have it on this phone. Anyway, it's in a little it's in a little city, sort of a suburban city north of Toronto called Markham, Ontario. That's where that big Gothic church is. I used to drive by it all the time. It's gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. But it's not at least up until. Yeah, it's not being used. It's like vacant. Crazy, but it's vacant. And there's houses all around there now. There weren't in the movie. But so, my favorite John Carpenter movies would be, my top three are The Thing, The Fog, and Halloween. If we would do a top five, I'd probably say The Thing, The Fog, and this is no particular order, but like Halloween, The Thing, The Fog, Big Trouble in Little China, and maybe, In the Mouth of Madness or something like that. Yeah. Jerpin says, call Bruce live. I wouldn't do that unless he was expecting my call, because he's a busy dude. So Blu-ray Addict says, what movie are you guys watching for the next two dudes? You will find out this weekend, my friend. You will find out. Frank Riker sends in a super chat. Could Blazing Saddles be made with today's climate? There are a lot of things that could not be made with today's climate. There are shows. Just watching older sitcoms that are not that old. I'm not talking about like I Love Lucy. I'm talking about sitcoms from like just 15, 20 years ago. I love the show Frasier, right? And my girlfriend and I will often watch Frasier. And sometimes there's jokes and things that happen in there that we turn to each other and we're like, they couldn't even do that now. And yet the show is like, that episode's only like 20 years ago. or something. There's episodes of like King of Queens or there are certain shows you're like, they couldn't even do that now. It really changed, at about 2011 or 12 was really when things started to kind of shift into this new fucking in a perpetual state of being offended climate that we're in, which is just utterly ridiculous. I mean, sometimes I like to watch too the Looney Tunes show. Now, not the old Looney Tunes from the 30s, the 40s, and the 50s. Excuse me, but there was it's called the Looney Tunes show. It was like a sitcom, and it had Bugs and Daffy and, Yosemite Sam and Porky and all that. And they lived like in this cul-de-sac kind of thing on this street, and they got themselves in all sorts of shenanigans and stuff. And it was a sitcom type show. I love it. I loved it. And it ran for about 2 seasons, 50 something episodes. And from about I think they started making them in 2008 or 9. And it was from like 2011 to 2014 or something like that. And when I was at the Voice Arts Awards a couple years ago, I was talking to Bob Bergen, who's the voice of Porky Pig, and I was saying to him how much I love that show. There's this great line that Daffy says, because he's trying to get Porky to do online dating, right? And so, he's got his profile picture. It's Porky Pig, right? And Daffy turns to, Porky and is like, we got to do something about your name. He's like, you can keep Porky or you can keep Pig, but you can't have both. And I just thought it was fucking hilarious. It's the way that he says it. Jeff Bergman was the voice of Daffy and Bugs, and he's just so brilliant. And I just love it so much. And so anyway, I was talking to Bob about that, and I was and he loved doing it. He says, we love doing it. It was so great. I was so disappointed that they couldn't go further with that. Anyway, you can find them on YouTube, but it was so funny. It was like a sitcom. It was so funny. But anyway, the point is that show, now it's Looney Tunes, so you can expect some like, guns in the faces and, it is Looney Tunes. But I wonder if they stopped doing it because it's like, but then it's kind of like, dude, that's Looney Tunes, man. People get shot in the face and their faces are just black with soot. That's Looney Tunes. That's why we tune in, because it's ridiculous and absurd. It's not Disney animation. It's not Disney everybody's loving and caring. It's fucking Looney Tunes, man. It's great. Slap, smashing, punching, shooting, falling, exploding. It's just so fun. And there's things even from that little sitcom type cartoon from about 10 years ago that we were like, I don't even think you could do that now. Like do a Looney Tunes show in proper Looney Tunes way and fashion. And like, I don't even think you could even, as crazy as this sounds, I don't even think you could totally see the moment when Daffy says, listen, you can keep Porky or you can keep Pig, but you can't keep both. Because obviously he's alluding to the fact that he's a fat pig and his name basically says that I'm fat. Do you think we could do that now? I don't think we could do that now. It's crazy, but it was fucking hilarious. And I love it. It's one of my favorite moments in the entire show. Crazy stuff. Mike Lawler says, have your girlfriend on the show? No, she's not going to come on the show. She's very supportive, 100%, loves what I'm doing, is absolutely 100% supportive, but this really isn't her jive. So no, she probably won't be coming on the show. But if you follow me on social media, every now and then I do post pictures of us. The Manhammer AR-15 says, Seinfeld all day. Yeah, Seinfeld's great. Love Seinfeld, one of my favorite sitcoms of all time. There's things in that show you couldn't do today. Let's be honest. Darren Sands is checking in. Awesome. Great to see you here, Darren. Duel is an absolute classic. Duel is one of the... If you guys have not seen Steven Spielberg's Duel, his first film, essentially, it was a made-for-TV movie, but it was essentially his first movie, 1971. You got to watch it. It's Jaws on the road. It is great. Dennis Weaver. I love that you never see the driver of the truck. It is a great movie. Check it out. 1971 Duel. Awesome stuff. All right, we'll go for a couple more minutes here, making sure I didn't... Nope, didn't miss any super chats. I always go back to the other window now to make sure I didn't, just in case they're not showing up here in the chat for some strange reason. Couple more minutes. Dookie Wilco says, Dave, do you collect a lot of physical media? Yes, I'm a physical media guy. I think I will always be a physical media guy. There's something about the tangibility, if I could use that word, of physical media. I love unwrapping the box. I love the box. I love opening the box. I love the smell of the box. I used to feel that way about VHS. I have VHS tapes stored under my stairs that I purchased in the late 80s, early 90s that are literally in immaculate condition. Like they have the shine on them. Now I haven't intentionally kept them that way. I've just through my natural sort of anal, retentive kind of about keeping everything, I just sort of just place them in a box. Like it's not like I did anything intentional though to keep them shine. I just take good care of these things, and they are amazing to look at. It's like, wow, this is like, and I know I purchased it in like 1992. I'm definitely a physical media guy. I know physical media is going the way of the dodo bird, and in another 15, 20 years, probably even before that, we probably won't have it. And I'll have to start buying every fucking movie I already own digitally, which is fucking annoying. But anyway, I'm a physical media guy. I love it. There's something about the smell, and feeling that. And what's great about it is that a lot of these streaming services, to be able to have, unless you're Disney Plus, and technically you can have something, you should have a movie on there for, eternity because you own the rights to it. But with streaming services like Netflix or maybe Amazon Prime or Hulu or Peacock that's coming, HBO Max, whatever it is, especially Netflix, they essentially rent these movies so you can watch them. So they're not there indefinitely. They sign, there's an agreement, there's a contract signed that they have the rights then now to show, Billy Bob's Bakery for a year. And Billy Bob's Bakery is on there. But if that's your favorite movie of all time and you rely on Netflix to watch it, it can be gone. I mean, how many times have you guys checked out Netflix and been like, oh, dude, they have that. Okay, I don't want to watch it right now, but I'll definitely come back and watch it. A couple of weeks later, you're like, okay, I'm going to sit down and watch it. And it's gone. Happens to me all the fucking time. And it's really annoying. If you have physical media, you can be like, hey, I got it forever. And it's like, sometimes it's better that way. That's how I feel. All right, folks, that's going to do it for me for episode 14 of McRae Live. I really appreciate you guys tuning in, sending in the super chats. Thank you so much for all your support, continued support here on the channel. I really appreciate it. All of you guys are amazing. Thank you for listening to me for the better part of an hour, shoot from the hip and sort of spitball on Spiral and my thoughts and what I'm worried about, but kind of what I'm interested in. And I don't know, it's going to be interesting. I'm not overly excited about Spiral. It's kind of like, okay, I explained all that at the beginning of the show. If you're tuning in late, go back and watch the beginning of the show and you'll kind of get my thoughts on it. But I'm open to it. I'm open to seeing what they're going to do. Comment below and let me know what you think about Spiral and whether or not you're like, really, Saw, man? All right, let me know your thoughts. I would love to know. You know the drill. If you want to follow me on Facebook, you can at facebook.com/manythingsdave McRae. That's where I tend to post in the meantime and in between time when I'm not posting here. All my links are in the description to my Facebook, my Instagram, my merch store, my IMDb, my Twitter, my official website. It's Me, Billy fan film Facebook page. It's all down there. Check it out until your heart's content. And when your heart is content, check them out again. You guys rock. I will be back tomorrow morning at 11 o'clock a.m. Eastern Standard Time for episode 15 of McRae Live. And hey. Have a great day, guys. And if you don't tune in tomorrow, have a great weekend. But in the meantime and in between time, I will talk to you guys soon. Cheers.